Hello and welcome to the HR Minute podcast by AllVoices. I am Jeffrey Fermin, and today we'll be talking with Nevena Sofranic, the founder of Recrooit. She's our first international guest, so I'm really excited to have her on here. That said, Nevena, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Right. Thank you for having me. I'm Nev. I'm the founder of Recruit, as you said. Previously, I also founded a tech recruitment agency, and I've been working in tech recruitment for 10 years now, which sounds awful when you say it like that. I'm based in Belgrade at the moment. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. And I want to talk to you about something that you're probably familiar with. We hear a lot of job candidates saying it's very stressful out there for them. There's a lot of time being spent looking for jobs. All these processes and all these technologies that have been put in place, they've been kind of sold as this thing to be more efficient with recruitment and applications. What do you have to say about that? Like, do you think some things can be improved in the recruitment process?
Well, I would say I agree with you. I'm not sure if it's broken or it just needs a little fix up, but I would say that two issues stand out mostly. The first is the gap between candidate skills and job requirements. And the second issue would be that recruitment processes are just time consuming and very costly for both employers and candidates. And so we lack an efficient screening process, I believe. So the third issue that we're mostly hearing from candidates is that recruitment process usually miss that personalized touch that will help candidates also grow together with the process they're in. So I would say those are the issues we're hearing the most about.
In what ways do you think Recruit helps like remedy these broken aspects of recruitment? And what unique solutions are you offering?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've been in this space for 10 years now. I've been working both on on both continents and recruitment. And what I've seen is that exactly what we're talking about, like both candidates and companies are frustrated with the recruitment process and how it works. It's either expensive, it's too long, like everyone's wasting time. So what I'm looking at, I came about building Recruit with the idea that recruitment should be community driven, and especially when it comes to startups, which I've been working with most of the time, it takes a village to build a product. We talked about this before, and I believe that we've seen different sources of hire throughout the recruitment processes, and some sources work well for certain niches or industries, and then others work better for other industries and so on. So I guess there is some point of personalization within the recruitment space as well. But at the top of it all, what's the most common source of hire throughout any industry are actually referrals. So I was thinking about like how do we help companies once they tap out internal referrals and they can't hire any more talent through internal referrals, how do we help them get external referrals and get the community engaged in companies that they believe in, right? So that's how Recruit came about. And that personalized touch I've been talking about some. So by just we tap into pre-vetted talent and we ensure a better match between candidates and job requirements. And so additionally, into what we're building at the moment, we do use some AI driven tools to assist in streamlining the process while at the same time keeping that human touch. So that's the balance we're looking to achieve with Recruit.
We could have a whole like separate conversation about like artificial intelligence in HR
Yeah.
maybe another time because I feel like that's fascinating. Kudos to you for like embracing it and instituting technology with AI. You touched on it a lot, like human judgment, the human component to recruitment and hiring. So, what role do you believe human judgment should play in recruitment, and how can technology complement it rather than replace it?
Yeah. Well, my point of view here is that AI and machine learning have been a tremendous help for just working through a lot of data. So if you're a company that gets a lot of applicants, this is where AI can be useful, right? But I don't think at any point of, and this is why I have the approach to building Recruit that I have, and that's the balancing between the human touch and AI, right? I don't believe that humans can ever be replaced in such a, crucial point of recruitment as selection is, So can AI understand personality, potential cultural fit? Like, what are the data points that we should provide to AI so it can do this? Like, I don't think humans are replaceable at this point. So human judgment, and also we've seen a lot of, I know this is controversial, but we've seen a lot of bias in AI, and it's not something you want to play around with. So I do believe humans still have a big role in recruitment. So I don't think we're gonna be replaced that soon.
I think that when these HR technologies started picking up things like artificial intelligence, a lot of HR managers were getting a little scared, like, hey, is my job replaceable? And that's just across the board, right? Like, whether you're a content creator, a blogger, like, you start seeing all these systems come out in the past, year, 2 years, and you're like, hey, can my job be replaced? What would you have to say to HR managers that are still kind of a little scared, or they're kind of on the fringe about AI and like about incorporating AI?
I'm actually posting our first meetup, Recruits meetup in Belgrade this January. And this is exactly the topic we're going to be covering. I'm bringing in a data scientist that's going to talk about like how you should incorporate AI into HR processes and what's snake oil, what's not, how to make difference, like. So I believe the first point to how HRs should approach this is educating themselves, like learning about the biggest LLMs out there. What are large language models? Like, how can I turn this technology into my advancement, right? Because I do believe, like anything else humans have built so far, this will help us. And with those that are, I mean, intelligence at the basic line, like intelligence is the ability to adapt, like, and we should be thinking about how we can adapt to how technology is growing, So I do believe AI should be incorporated into HR processes. At the same time, I think HRs need to step up and learn about like what are the technologies that they should adopt into their processes. And I think that's the best starting point here.
I love how you're bringing the social component to recruitment. If you have any advice for HR departments embracing, the referrals a little bit more, yeah, I would love to hear your 2 cents on it.
Okay, so we've seen like 30% of the best hires across companies came through referrals. And what we're seeing in like, let's talk about sources of hire, right? So you have job boards, you got LinkedIn, you got cold outreach, you got recruitment agencies. There are different sources of hire. And then Recruit is bringing in a new source of hire, which are external referrals. And this is where I'm hoping to see everyone come together, both candidates and HR professionals and recruitment professionals, like you as well, helping each other find their match with the touch here and there of AI, right? So that's why we're looking at building Recruit. And what I believe in as our mission and our vision in Recruit is that long term, recruiting should be community driven. And we've seen it in the most successful companies. For example, just talking about OpenAI, Sam Altman wrote a blog post about his co founder, Greg. And in this blog post, he says how Greg is an amazing recruiter. He built the core team and how that trait is really important in founders. So also, Jason Lumpkin, the founder of Saster, he always talks about how recruiting is important trade for founders and how they need to pick up their game in recruitment, right? But it's not something that a lot of founders have been facing, like, so I believe we've finally came to that position that people have acknowledged the importance of recruitment and how it impacts in building great companies. And with that, you, with community driven approach to recruitment, you're giving a lot of companies a push, and what's going to make a difference here is that if you're building a cool company, something, a product that has, value to a lot of people, you're going to get a lot of referrals, and at the same time, if if your employer branding and your reputation are not on point, you're just not going to get referrals. So it's a matter also of like democratizing, just the recruitment game and giving people an opinion on also who's going to be hiring well in the next couple of years. So that's the thing with the community, and I've seen just what I've talked about. I just been to Tanzania, and what I've learned there is how we, you know, we're missing a lot, but not sticking together. And I've seen them working in communities and living in communities and how they help each other, So I would like to see that also built. I would say that is the core of Recruit, like just building a community that will be helping each other getting jobs and at the same time getting amazing employees, right?
So we spoke a little bit about it before we started recording. Web3, that is a whole new atmosphere. I feel like over here in the States, we're not really embracing it as much. I want to know your thoughts about that and your thoughts on Web3 and HR, and where you're planning to take Recruit.
I would say that, I mean, after last night and that thing with Bitcoin, it's too funny talking about Web3. Web3 is a very young industry, So I believe that it will take time for people to understand what they're building. And when I say Web3, a lot of people are thinking about crypto, but it's not just crypto. It's more of building a more secure, decentralized space for people, right? I would say to build Web3 products, and I'm gonna talk about Web3 in terms of recruitment here. Not tech stack that has been used traditionally through Web3 industry is also very young, since Web3 industry itself is young, right? And so there is not a lot of talent that's experienced with this technology, and obviously they're lacking experience talent. So they're often turning to a more traditional tech stacks and engineers that have background in, I would say, traditional technologies, right? And they would source them and help them acquire and adapt to these new stuff they're working on. But at the same time, it takes a certain personality and a certain, like mindset to be able to grasp and to believe in the industry itself. It is quite controversial, right? So not a lot of traditional engineers are gonna jump into Web3 and be like, oh yeah, it sounds, like I'm gonna invest my time and my like next couple of years into building a product that I don't even know if it's gonna be worth it, like in the end. So it takes a bit of, I would say some engineers that are super curious about solving really big technical issues, like just making stuff up, solving problems that most of the people don't even know they exist. So s- a lot of curious people are coming into the industry. And I believe Recruit helps companies that are hiring Web3 space because a lot of folks in Web3 are also, they're not actively looking for jobs, right? Most of them are already employed. So it's really hard to reach them, and they're not active on social media except on Twitter, and on Twitter, most of them are anonymous, so you can't really reach them, and it's really hard to source them. So Recruit jumps in by bringing this community together and helping companies actually reach them through referrals. So referrals have been traditionally very successful for both Web3 and cybersecurity niche, because both these candidate candidate personas are not active on social media and are hard to source. So I would say this is why Recruit is like helping a lot of Web3 companies at the moment reach candidates.
Nev, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. Hope our audience enjoyed this. And yeah, thank you so much.
You too. Thank you, Jeffrey.